Here's the results of my team's game in the GWJ Jam 63. And this was also my first ever game jam I've finished, and I'll share with you some stuff I learned, and consider subscribing to help me reach 1000 subscriptions before the end of the year. So let's dive in. Not the best theme in my opinion, since it doesn't really give you that many choices or cool ideas to do with it, and I think most people agrees with me, since everyone just made the main character a cat and the enemies dogs, and then the base game whatever they just felt like, and we also did that. And the game we wanted to make was a top-down shooter game where you shoot lasers at dogs, so basically cat shooting laser. For the first day we set up some boring stuff like version control, and I started work on the models and Crabite on the character controller, and after all of that was implemented we started work on the tutorial level for the game. So how it's gonna play out is that you're locked in a graveyard and you have to collect X amount of cat bells to unlock the gate and escape, and we built it out and I think it turned out really well. We also implemented menus for the game, and this is one of the things I want to improve for future game jams, where I have a ready-made template with the menus, so it can quickly be implemented and not waste one day of the jam. And I will be making one, and when it's finished it will be on my Ko-Fi store, so have a look out for that. When we felt like the game was in a good state, we looked for a composer that would do the music and sound effects for the game, but at this point there was only like 2 days left of the jam, so we managed to get Susilos that would make the music and Leonard would make the sound effects. And this was the second lesson I had to learn, because only giving the compositors 2 days to make everything didn't end out so well due to time constraints. The sound effects sadly didn't make it in time because of technical issues, and when it was time to submit our game, only the exports for web and Windows would work. And even worse was that our game didn't meet the itch.io limitations on web games, and basically I think it's like 200 megabytes and our game was I think 300, and that meant the game couldn't be played in the browser on the itch page. And the reason was because the models and stuff wasn't optimized for the game, and even if we wanted to reduce the size we couldn't, because we exported in the very last moments and just managed to submit our entry seconds before the deadline. So the lesson is to export your builds more frequently to see that everything works, like your web build and Linux, and I think it's called Mac OS as well, and also to optimize your files, especially if you're making a 3D game. It may not apply to 2D games, because 3D games I presume are larger in size. So even though we technically broke the rules for the game jam, and we were technically disqualified because we didn't have a web build, and you need a web build or a build for all the operating systems. And if you don't have a web build you can't compete with the other games, because most people, including me, only play the game if it can be played in the web. So our overall score was 132 out of 145. I do believe if we managed to submit the game as a web and with sound effects working as well, the game easily would have won the game jam. The next wild jam is going to be crazy, and I think we really stand a good shot of winning it, especially with all the lessons learned. And I will be live streaming every day of the game jam. So if you wanna come watch and chat with me or give suggestions, check it out. And I also posted all the assets I made for the jam on my Ko-Fi page, and some of them are actually half decent, like the shovel I think, and the coffin is also pretty good. And a huge thanks to Crabite for handling the programming, Susilos for doing the amazing music, and Leonard for the sound effects. Wouldn't have been have been possible without them. And if you wanna check out the game, you can do so at itch.io, and thanks for watching.